Football is a funny old game. 1 minute you can have the world at your feet, and in the next be all but forgotten. There is nothing quite so ex as an ex-footballer. Whether it be a young player looking to salvage their careers, or an old player just not yet ready to give the game up, there are a few reasons why you might find footballers who were once used to the bright lights of Wembley Stadium and the Camp Nou, all of a sudden playing on park pitches in front of one man and his dog. About 2 years ago, I made a video about 7 such footballers who once played for top clubs and had massive reputations, but were now languishing in obscurity. It got so much love that it ended up making a rare part 2, and then even a part 3, and though there were still requests for a part 4, I figured that 3 was probably enough. A couple of years on though, I thought that it might be interesting to revisit the topic and take a look at some fallen superstars as of December 2023. To be clear, when I say a really low level, I'm not referring to Aaron Ramsey rejoining Cardiff City in the Championship, Joel Campbell making his homecoming to Costa Rica's top flight, or Mathieu Valbuena playing in Cyprus. Even former Netherlands star Jermaine Lens, who now plays for third-tier French outfit FC Versailles, is playing at too high a level to feature. No. I'm talking about players that you will hopefully all have heard of, who now play in the deepest, darkest depths of obscurity. And no, I'm not referring to Saudi Arabia. Without further ado then, who just isn't playing at all anymore, here are 7 former superstars now playing at a really low level. 7th, Martin Skrtel. We kick off our 7 with Martin Skrtel, of course we bloody well do, or the Skrtelnator, as he is known among friends. Skrtel is currently playing his club football among friends for FK Haškala Roztočna in the 8th tier of Slovakian football. I must admit, I was surprised to discover that Slovakia even has 8 steps to its Football League pyramid. Even Wikipedia doesn't seem to be quite sure how they're defined, given that it is a nation of just over 5 million people. If you're wondering how low the standard is down in the 8th tier of Slovakian football, Martin Skrtel, who was famed for being a no-nonsense centre-back for 8 years at Liverpool, now plays as a number 10, and has compared the role that he plays in for Haškala Roztočna to the one that Lionel Messi plays in for Argentina. Hey, don't laugh. In all seriousness, if any of you have ever played with a current or former professional footballer, let alone one who spent a decade competing at the pinnacle of the European game, you will be well aware that even a 6'3" slogger like Skrtel can indeed be made to look like Lionel Messi, playing alongside a bunch of normies. Skrtel, who is now aged 38, retired from professional football 18 months ago due to a chronic back injury, following a brief stint with Spartak Trnava. The 4-time Slovak Footballer of the Year, who ranks 4th in Slovakia's all-time appearance charts with over 100 caps to his name, hadn't forgotten a promise that he made to his childhood friends during his time playing in the Premier League though, to one day return to the village where he was born and play alongside them. Unable to train due to his back problems, Skrtel just turns up once a week and plays 90 minutes, and told The Athletic earlier this year that he struggles to walk for 3 or 4 days after a game. Nonetheless, Haškala Roztočna are no doubt delighted that he kept his word, much more delighted, I suspect, than how they are with how I keep pronouncing their name, not only because Skrtel is their star man, but primarily because they now have hundreds of fans turn up to each of their games. 6th, Graham Dorrans. No, before any of you start getting sarcastic, it's not stretching the limit of the word to breaking point to describe Graham Dorrans as a former superstar. We will have none of that slander on this channel, thank you very much. Dorrans scored 18 goals in 52 games in a single season for West Bromwich Albion from central midfield, firing the Baggies to promotion to the Premier League. He had an international career which spanned 6 years, and he racked up 142 appearances in the top flight of English football. This is the 2009-10 Championship PFA Fans Player of the Year that we're talking about, who later won a second Premier League promotion with Norwich City via the Championship playoff final, which is the single most lucrative game in all of world football, in front of a crowd of over 85,000 at Wembley Stadium. These days, Dorrans plays in slightly more humble surroundings. After dropping down into the Scottish Championship, firstly with Dundee and then Dunfermline Athletic, either side of a single season with Western Sydney Wanderers in the A-League, Dorrans joined West of Scotland First Division outfit Johnston Burr in May 2023, following almost a year out the game. The West of Scotland Football League, for those of you who aren't particularly familiar with it, which I would imagine is almost all of you, is a regional collection of leagues based in the west of Scotland, as their name suggests, which sits just below the Lowland League. The West of Scotland Football League covers the 6th through to the 10th tiers of Scottish football, and since Johnston Burr play in the league's first division, Dorrans plays in the 7th tier of Scottish football. That is a level so low that Joey Barton wouldn't even sink to it in a desperate cry for attention on social media. Alongside Dorrans, Johnston Burr have also signed former Rangers and Northern Ireland forward Carl Lafferty, following a takeover by a supposedly wealthy consortium, and they issued a club statement back in July, hitting back at critics who had suggested that maybe there was just a chance that they were overspending for a team in the 7th tier of Scottish football. 5th, Roman Eremenko. Unlike Martin Skrtel and Graham Dorrans, Roman Eremenko never graced the Premier League, so perhaps his name will be less familiar with Anglophone viewers, but there are some other reasons why you might have heard of him that we will come to. Born in Moscow but raised in Finland, Fumi went on to win some 73 caps. Eremenko made his name in Serie A with Udinese. Signed by the Italians as an 18-year-old, Eremenko made 20 appearances at the Stadio Friuli before making a €5 million move to Dynamo Kyiv. In 2011, Eremenko returned to Russia, initially with Rubin Kazan, and later to his native Moscow, where he played for both CSKA and Spartak. Eremenko comes from a family of footballers. His father, Alexei Sr., played for both Spartak and Dynamo Moscow. His older brother, Alexei Jr., also played in Russia and in Italy and won over 50 caps for Finland alongside him. And his younger brother, Sergei Eremenko, plays for FF Yarrow, which is the club where all three Eremenko brothers began their careers. Yarrow compete in the Jakanan, which is the 2nd tier of Finnish football, and almost certainly is pronounced nothing like that, and therefore one division above the level at which Roman Eremenko now plays his club football. Back in 2016, Eremenko failed a drugs test at CSKA Moscow, testing positive for cocaine, and receiving a 2-year ban from the sport. He returned in 2018 with Spartak Moscow, but after just 3 months in which he only played 4 games, he was released. Now aged 36, Eremenko joined FC Honka in the Kakanen, Finland's top flight, in May 2023. But at the end of last season, the club was declared bankrupt and automatically relegated 2 divisions. Eremenko stuck around in one of Finland's most cosmopolitan squads, where he can list a Russian, Dutch, Ghanaian, Argentinian, Colombian, Ecuadorian, Mozambican, and several Germans among his teammates. Given that Finland is not a major football nation, only HJK in the top flight average over 5,000 fans at their home games, and even then only just, I think that the nation's 3rd tier safely qualifies as a really low level. 4th, Andre Wisdom. Remember him? Andre Wisdom was considered one of the hottest academy graduates at Liverpool a little over a decade ago, breaking into the first team initially under Roy Hodgson. Born in Leeds, Wisdom caught the eye of several scouts as a 14-year-old apprentice at Bradford City, and it was Liverpool who managed to sign him. In the 2012-13 season, age 19, and never having played senior team football before, Brendan Rodgers played in 19 times in the Reds' first team. That is more appearances than Philippe Coutinho and Daniel Sturridge made at Anfield that season. Wisdom impressed with his defensive solidity and athleticism, but defensive reinforcements over the following summer convinced Rodgers to send Wisdom on loan to Derby County with the aim of aiding his development. Further loan moves to West Brom, Norwich and Red Bull Salzburg followed, with Wisdom earning a reputation as a bit of a throwback of a fullback, insofar as he was tough to beat, but didn't offer as much as a lot of modern fullbacks going forward. In 2017, following 9 years at Anfield, Wisdom rejoined Derby County, this time on a permanent basis. In June 2020, while still at Derby and at the height of the COVID pandemic, Wisdom was stabbed multiple times by men in balaclavas at a house party. His injuries were serious but not life-threatening, and after a couple of surgeries and a few weeks out, Wisdom returned to training. He played 40 games for Derby the following season, at a time in which the club was mired in an existential financial crisis, but, according to Wisdom himself, he couldn't get the same out of his body. A stab wound to his head caused him headaches, one to his chest caused him to tire and become breathless much more quickly, and his most serious wounds were to his buttocks. After getting released by Derby, Wisdom had trials with Portsmouth, Birmingham City, Sheffield United and Polish club Warta Poznan, but failure to secure a contract saw the former England under-21 international go more than 2 years without a club. In September, Wisdom finally returned to football, now aged 30, joining Warrington Town in the National League North. That is the 6th tier of the English game, but Wisdom still dreams of one day playing at a high level again, and he has played 10 league games for mid-table Warrington since his arrival. Third, Titus Bramble. I know what you're thinking. Titus Bramble, wasn't he arrested on suspicion of rape along with his brother in September 2010? Yes he was. While his brother Tesfaye, who was also a professional footballer, was convicted and spent 2.5 years behind bars, Titus was released without charge. He was arrested again in September 2011, this time on allegations of sexual assault and possession of Class A drugs, which caused him to be suspended by Sunderland. And believe me when I say, it takes a lot to be suspended by Sunderland. 8 months later, Bramble was cleared of those charges as well, but he was released by Sunderland in 2013. The Black Cats were Bramble's 4th and final Premier League club, following stints at Ipswich Town, Newcastle United, and Wigan Athletic. And though he became a bit of a meme in his later years, particularly among my age demographic of FIFA players at the time, he was actually an excellent centre-back at his best. In the 2008-09 season, Bramble won the Player of the Season award at Wigan Athletic, as the Latics finished 11th in the Premier League table, 5 points, and 1 place below Manchester City. In 2017, following 4 years out of the game, Bramble made a solitary appearance for Stowmarket Town while serving as the Eastern Counties Football League side's player manager. Another 4-year hiatus from the game followed, but in March 2021, Bramble joined Safra FC in the United Arab Emirates, who compete in the 2nd tier of the Dubai Amateur Football League. Is that low enough for you? Age 42, Bramble previously made 10 appearances for England's under-21s a little over 20 years ago, but it is hard to see him playing his way back into Gareth Southgate's thoughts for Safra ahead of Euro 2024. Second, Kevin Grosskreutz. One of the ultimate examples of a fallen superstar. If you've been subscribed to this channel for any amount of time and watching my videos, you will know that just 3 years after winning the 2014 World Cup, Kevin Grosskreutz dropped down into the 2nd Bundesliga, and a year after that, he dropped down further still into the 3rd Liga with Erdingen. It's not as though Grosskreutz was ancient when he won the World Cup either, or a pair of Bundesliga titles under Jurgen Klopp at Borussia Dortmund. He was still only 29 when he joined Erdingen in Germany's 3rd tier. Well, now aged 35, it perhaps won't come as an enormous surprise to you that the utility man, who made close to 250 appearances for Borussia Dortmund and won 6 caps for Germany between 2010 and 2014, is playing at an even lower level now than he was when we last spoke about him a few years ago. In 2021, Grosskreutz joined Dortmund-based outfit TuS Bövinghausen in the regional 6th tier of German football. In 2022, he and Bövinghausen won promotion to the 5th tier, namely the Oberliga Westfalen, but despite extending his contract until 2025 following promotion, Grosskreutz left Bövinghausen at the end of last season. Grosskreutz joined divisional rivals SV Wacker Obercastrop just 3 miles down the road, who were promoted alongside Bövinghausen in 2022. Whilst his fellow 2014 World Cup winners, like Manuel Neuer, Mats Hummels and Toni Kroos, are still starring for Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund and Real Madrid, Grosskreutz's last 2 teams have long been on the lookout for a new stadium which would meet 4th tier requirements in order for them to win promotion. First, Hernanes. Hernanes might not be the biggest name outside of the countries that he played in, but make no mistake, he was a superstar. When Lazio sold Hernanes to Inter Milan in 2014, their supporters were so incensed that they sent death threats to the club's president. In fairness, with Lazio fans, it doesn't take much. An excellent midfield all-rounder, former Brazilian international Edmilson described Hernanes as the new Deco, and that did a good job of summing up his best attributes. Great on the ball, calm in possession, and energetic and able to contribute off it. Following over 200 appearances for Sao Paulo, Hernanes spent 7 years in Serie A with Lazio, Inter Milan and Juventus. He also won 27 caps over 6 years for Brazil, making 3 appearances at the 2014 World Cup on home soil, and getting sent off for kicking Karim Benzema in the chest in 2011. Like several high-profile Brazilians, Hernanes accepted a lucrative contract in China in 2017, joining Hebei China Fortune, a club that no longer exists. In 2019, Hernanes returned to Brazil with Sao Paulo, where he spent 2 seasons before joining Sport Recife. As far as most sources online are concerned, Hernanes retired in 2021 after his time in Recife came to an end. But I am reliably informed that isn't actually the case. Following 2 years out of the game, Hernanes, now aged 38, recently returned to Italy, joining amateur outfit Sale in October until the end of the season. Sale, which is a small commune in Piedmont, is home to just 4,000 people. Their football team, of the same name, compete in the entirely amateur and regional 7th tier of the Italian game in a stadium with a maximum capacity of just 400, but which very rarely sees crowds anywhere near that size. The reason for Hernanes joining an obscure amateur 7th tier Italian team in a tiny little commune over 50 miles from Turin, I hear you ask? Well, he's just opened a restaurant nearby, of course. Named Ca del Profeta and located about an hour's drive away from Turin, Hernanes' restaurant is in the Michelin Guide and has outstanding reviews. A tasting menu will set you back either 70 or 90 euros, depending on how hungry you are, plus between 45 to 55 euros if you want the wine pairing as well. I promise you, I haven't been paid for this promotion, I am just providing you with the context that you truly won't find anywhere else. But if the next Deco, who might just now be the next Heston Blumenthal, happens to stumble upon this video and wants to reward me for the free promotion, hit up my emails or DMs, Hernanes. That is it for today's video, but thank you all very much, as ever, for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it, I hope that was the case. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and of course, make sure that you're subscribed and have notifications turned on for both this channel, HITC Sevens, and also my second channel, Alfie Potsama, both of which should be about to appear on your screens now, along with a couple of videos that you might enjoy watching after this one. You can also find me on Twitter, Instagram, or Threads via the username at HITC Sevens on all 3, and all of those links that I've just overloaded you with right now should be down in the video description below, should you be interested in any of them. Cheers!